I went to a pride parade with my former teacher. My family was enraged.
No parades for you, OP.
No parades for you. I keep in touch with my old English teacher from high school via phone and text messaging. We started doing this the year that she left. Her name is Wendy. By the way, this comes from Deleted, and if you want to submit your own stories, go to r/OKStorytime subreddit. So a month ago, Wendy called me and asked me if I wanted to go to a pride event in Chattanooga. I live near there. She's a big advocate for the LGBTQ community. I said yes and thanked her for the invitation. I told her I was thinking about going solo to Nashville to their annual Pride Festival, but put that thought on the back burner due to me losing my job.
It's about a 2-hour drive.
Thank you for that info. I asked her if she would consider taking me, and she said that she'd think about it. Later, she called me again and said that she was mistaken, that the Pride event wasn't until next week. I said okay, and I asked her if she made up her mind about going to Nashville. She said, I don't know, it would be nice to go and hit the Love Men bar. I said, yes, it would. She asked me if I wanted to go, and I said yes. Then she booked us a hotel. We packed our stuff. I drove to her house, and she took me. When we got to our hotel, we got ready and went to the Love Men bar down the street where there was a drag performance going on. It was fun. The next morning, we got ready and went to the Pride Festival where all the vendors were at. We stayed for a few hours, bought some stuff, interacted with some of the people there, and then went back home. When I got back home, my cousin who lives nearby noticed that I had been gone throughout most of the weekend and asked where I went. I told her where I went. She asked if I had fun. I said yes. And that was the end of that conversation. A few days later, her mom, my aunt, the one I've told you about, called me and started interrogating me about it. Obviously, she had been informed of this by my cousin. She asked me all kinds of questions. Where did you go? Did you go with a friend? Who was your friend? How often do you two interact? What did you do? How old is she? Did you guys drink? And it just went on and on. I caved in and answered them. Don't know why. I was afraid if I told her that it was none of her business that she would get mad, even though that was the only worst possible outcome and she would get over it.
Yeah.
She expressed to me that she thought it was weird that a 65-year-old woman took a 22-year-old man with autism over 2 hours away to Nashville, with it just being the two of us and no one else, with the relationship being former teacher, former student. She emphasized that the fact that we were formerly teacher and student was part of what concerned her. Not only that, but the fact that it was just the two of us. She continued, haven't you seen the news and heard these stories about teachers abusing their students? A few weeks ago, there was this guy in Nashville that went with his group of friends to a bar and he got so wasted and wandered off and got lost. His friends couldn't find him and he ended up being found eternal sleep in a river.
I remember that.
Oh, wow.
I remember that showing up in the news.
Wow, when you were in Nashville?
In Tennessee, yeah.
Dang.
They were like, Nashville man gone. But a lot of people disappear around that river. Fun fact.
Sketchy. But she continued, nothing may have happened this time, but what if something happens the next time? Not everyone has your best interest at heart, Taylor. You see innocence where there isn't any. Some people don't have good intentions. You always have to assume the worst. And she went on and on. Finally, she brought up that I did not tell anybody in the immediate family beforehand where I was going to go and when I was going to come back. I didn't for two reasons. A, no one asked me. And B, I didn't think I had to. My aunt told me that since I'm 22 years old, pay my own bills, have the car insurance and title solely in my name, and live practically on my own, I have a roommate, I'm not obligated to do that.
Yep.
Yeah, I think that sounds
I
fair.
haven't told my mom where I was going for the past 4 years.
My cousin called me while I was there, but I didn't answer because I didn't hear the phone ring. She told me that back when her mother, my grandmother, was alive, she would let her know where she was at, with her in her 50s and her being in her 80s. She told me to never do something like this again, and that another reason she was concerned was because I'm autistic, and because of that, I think like a 16 to 17-year-old. I found that comment rather hurtful and insulting.
Because that's how it works.
Yeah, absolutely. Her kids are in their 30s, and they still tell her where they're going and when they're coming back. She also thinks it was weird that she bought most of the stuff for me, hotel room and all. The only things I paid for were snacks and drinks at the gas station stops and things I wanted at the festival. Keep in mind that both of us were unemployed at the time, but being the older adult, Wendy was a bit more well-off and resourceful than I was, and was willing to do it.
John, you've been dancing a lot.
I'm going to give you a live demonstration and you're going to see it too.
Show me those hips. Oh, damn, that is a good move. But But you know what is also an amazing move?
What is that, Sam?
Becoming an OK Storytime member.
Yeah, that's freaking right. We have 60 plus hours of exclusive live streams on Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays.
It's only $5 a month, so go to the link in our description, youtube.com/OKOP show/join.
Well, let's get back to the story.
One of the questions I was asked was, did you share a room and sleep in the same bed? Which we did. She said that that was strange too, and that we would have been the perfect opportunity for her to have done something bad to me. According to her, we should have been in separate rooms or separate beds. Again, she bought a bedroom because it was the cheapest option and the wisest too, considering our financial situations, and I had no uncomfortable feelings about it whatsoever. My aunt also told me she would have been even more worried had Wendy been a man, which I thought was homophobic and a sexist thing to say. On a side note, my dad agreed with them, saying that if I was older, I would have thought her offer was weird, and if one of her kids was invited to go to something like this by someone that used to be their teacher, she would think so too. In case you haven't gotten the idea yet, they're basically implying that she is a pet groomer. In a way, I can understand where they're coming from. To be frank, people aren't always as nice as they seem, and you do have to be careful. If something did happen to me at the hands of her, something else, if one person in the family knows about my whereabouts, word will spread and they'll know what to tell the police. Search and rescue efforts will be quicker and easier, and so on. Regardless, I still feel like this is being blown way out of proportion, and I don't like all of these accusations and insinuations being made about Wendy and everything else. Nothing illegal happened. We came back in one piece, and even if anything did happen spicily, as long as it was consensual, it would have been legal. And about it being strange that we shared the same room. If she wanted to do something bad to me and was that determined to do so, separate rooms or beds wouldn't have stopped her. She would have found a way to circumvent that. So what difference does it make? I also vented to Wendy about how my family felt about her in our trip, and because I felt gaslit due to all the stuff that was said, I asked her if she did anything to me in my sleep, and with no hesitation, she confidently answered, "No, Taylor, I can't even believe you're effing asking me that." I think if someone answers a question like that without any hesitation whatsoever and says it confidently, that's enough proof that they're in the clear and that they're truly a good person. A year and a half ago, Wendy invited me to go to this Dolly Parton themed disco party with her and her husband. That sounds like so much fun.
It's fun.
Oh my gosh. When I told my dad I was going to go, he started making all kinds of negative comments and implications. He said that he did not like the idea of me going downtown at night with people that he didn't know to a effing drag show, which it was not, by the way. When I told my aunt about this, she said that this is what 21-year-olds do. They go out. They go out with friends, hang out, mingle, and have a good time. She also said that it was sweet of her to invite me to go to that event and that she paid for my birthday cake a month before. And you know what would be so sweet of you is if you checked out our full episodes with more stories just like this one on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, whatever your favorite podcast app is, and search OK Storytime. We'll be there. And there is a little bit more to the story, but what do we think? We haven't even gotten a chance to unpack this yet.
Yeah.
What do we think?
What do I think? I think. I think.
I think
Wait,
I agree.
I have a thought.
Yeah.
It just sounds like OP is here. Dad and parents are here.
Yeah.
And they're getting to this part where they need to separate.
Yeah.
And it's more like this, and it's like OP's like trying to pull away, but their dad is clinging on.
Yeah.
I mean, I had to do this with my parents. It was tough.
Yeah.
We're good now.
I think it's also, I understand being concerned about this because I was a little sketched out at first too, thinking, this is a teacher. This is a teacher. Because listen, like I know that OP is an adult now, but if they've had a relationship like through high school and like since high school, it's possible for pet grooming to happen. So that's not out of the question. And people do have the ability to answer like that and deny it right away, especially if this is not something that they've, if this is something that they've done before. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They can go around it. So I mean, I don't think anything bad happened here. OP seems very confident that everything was
The relationship
fine.
seems solid.
Yeah, I mean, I trust OP with everything that they've said, but so I get the parents' concern, but at the same time, it's like, okay, you can be concerned, but you don't have to punish OP for this because at the end of the day, nothing happened. You know, you could talk about the concerns, talk about being careful in the future and stuff like that. But that was different, okay? That
You
was
said it 6 times already.
no.
Yeah,
really?
you have.
Well, I don't think it's that much of a bad thing. I'm gonna stick by it.
You can.
And I will. But yeah, I think they don't need to blow it out of proportion. Because it can be very uncomfortable when you're in a situation like this, thinking that it might be something that you should feel uncomfortable about when it was actually totally fine the whole time. So I think they're fine.
Yeah.
But there is still a little bit more. So now, here we are. I finally got an opportunity to go do something with Wendy again, and I jump on it. We hang out, mingle, and have a good time together. She paid for most of it for me. And my aunt is basically pulling the same crap that my dad did. She's making negative comments and implying all these horrible things. If our ages, genders, the fact that I have autism, the fact that she used to be my teacher, and the fact that she paid for something for me weren't a problem a year and a half ago, why the F are they problems now? P.S. I checked into it, and the price for a 2-bedroom would be at least a $30 increase. 2 separate rooms would have been twice the cost of 1 room. And just to make this clear, she's not a teacher at all anymore. And that's the end of that story. Wow. Look at that. I don't know. I think that everything worked out fine. I think it's possible for situations like this to be bad and to go wrong, but it sounds like OP was aware of that and was careful and felt perfectly fine. And I think part of it could be like what OP was saying, them being a little too worried about the autism and like how capable they are.
They need to keep tags on him. He's doing fine. He's living on his own.
Yeah, exactly. Like he's perfectly fine and super capable. But that is the end of that story. So we'll see ya in the next one.